I get a lot of emails on my mailbox or through Facebook or even through the comments where people tell me that they don't have enough time to cook, so that's why they're always asking me for quick recipes and things like that, because they're so busy with work and because they have a thesis to write or they have homework. I'm here to tell you the truth that you actually do have time to cook. It's just you're not taking enough time to cook, so just wake up earlier, go to bed an hour later. But if you really would want to, then instead of sitting down watching a TV or sitting down surfing the net or something, you would probably have time to cook. So always, if you want to be healthy, especially if you want to be healthy, if you want to control what you're eating, it's always best to cook. It's always best to cook yourself all the food that you're eating. But I do understand that some people have time constraints just like I do. And the last thing I want to do after a terribly long day at work and working out for an hour after and then finishing my day like at the time it is right now, which is 9:30 p.m. The last thing I want to do is spend an hour cooking my food. So I'm going to teach you something just using fresh ingredients, straightforward food. Since everyone seemed to enjoy the whole egg series and the whole egg idea, then I'm going to continue on that. I'm going to do another recipe with eggs because it's so accessible, it's cheap, and yeah, check it out. So I just have a hot pan here going. I'm going to put just a tad bit of olive oil. Remember not to use extra virgin, just a quick tablespoon of it. And once that gets nice and hot, I'm just going to take some oyster mushrooms, and these are organic. They're actually grown locally in the Philippines, and you can find the seller of this in the Salcedo market every Saturday. And it's just a great product because, you know, it's homemade and homegrown, I mean. And then as much as possible, we want to promote local farmers and local products, because the more we promote them, the more business they do, and then the more people will actually venture into growing their own vegetables and everything, and it can only mean good things for the food industry here in the Philippines. So I'm just gonna give these mushrooms here just a quick chop, nothing fancy. Really, you can even chop it smaller if you want. You know, a lot of people have been using the trend of calling mushroom dirt, making mushrooms look like dirt, earth. But here I'm just gonna chop them just really roughly like that. You can even leave them whole if you want, but I like my texture being a little bit varied when it comes to my mushrooms. And I'm just gonna take, so that's about 2 handfuls if you see it. See, 1 handful here. Put that in my pan right there. So all of that. Just gonna shake it up a bit. Make sure that, because mushrooms, especially oyster mushrooms, are actually very dry. They absorb lots of oil, so they're gonna get all that olive oil and all that flavor, and it's just gonna be fantastic. So as quickly as possible, you want to season them. So we're just gonna put a quick teaspoon of salt in there. We're gonna lower your heat a bit to medium, so you don't want to burn them. And as they gently start cooking, add our pepper. And then only now are we going to add our garlic, because we don't want our garlic to burn. We just really want that flavor to be there. And with this dish, and our onions here, which have been thinly sliced, with this dish I really just want to keep the texture of the vegetables, because I don't mind semi-cooked onions. I actually prefer them like that. I like the texture, I like the strong taste of it. Same goes for my garlic. If you see that it's drying up just a tad bit like it is here, don't worry about it. Just add like another tablespoon or half a tablespoon of olive oil, and just get that going until it starts caramelizing in color and getting a little bit more brown. And you see that the mushrooms here start getting a little bit more brown, and they'll just get softer and softer. To that, you can add any dried herbs. I unfortunately didn't have time to go to the supermarket today, so I always carry around some dried herbs, and here I'm using some dried celery flakes. So as my mushrooms are cooking down, I'm just going to make a really quick French vinaigrette. I'm going to take a teaspoon of mustard here. Make sure it's Dijon mustard. And we're just going to take a couple lugs of extra virgin olive oil. Just going to add to a bowl. I always mix it really quickly. When you're happy with your vinaigrette, the texture that's there, we're just going to add half a lemon. Just a nice squeeze in there. And then we're going to add some black pepper as well. And then just one more time, you're going to go over it again. And then you'll see that it just creates a nice, creamy texture, like that. That's what you want. You don't want it to separate too much. You just want a nice creamy texture. And the reason why I'm actually doing it in a bowl is because the thing I hate the most is a salad where not all the leaves are covered and nicely coated with all the sauce. So I like to do it in my bowl so that I make the vinaigrette here and then I just toss it inside so everything gets nice and covered. So we're gonna put this aside, keep it in the fridge, or you just keep it outside because this is gonna be really quick. As you can see, my mushrooms are cooked down. You see how from 2 handfuls it really just became 1 handful. And they're just nice and really soft and tender. And you see the onions are just slightly translucent. The garlic retained its texture but lost a little bit of pungency, so it's just great. Now we're just gonna get a little pan going. You know how you're in hotels and you always see these perfect fried eggs, and you never know really how they do it. Well, the trick is that your fire can't be too hot. If it's too hot, what's gonna happen is that your whites are gonna cook really quickly, and when that happens, it's just gonna bubble, and that's when you have those little bubbles that you don't want, that Spanish people do a lot when they do their eggs because they add a lot of oil. What you need always while cooking eggs is a really good pan, so a good sized pan. So for 2 fried eggs, this is a perfectly sized pan. And then, if it's a good pan, you don't really need to add any oil, or not too much oil on it. So I just coated it slightly. When you know your pan's around at medium heat, what you'd want to do is bring it down all the way, and then we're just going to crack our eggs inside. So that's 1. You can see, you can hear a slight bubbling, but not too much. And then 2 quickly with the other. And we're just gonna wait for the eggs to just slowly but surely cook through. But you can't, your fire can't be too low either, because then that'll just cook the egg yolks too much. And if you're like me, you prefer runny yolks, then you want to give it some time. You want to give it the perfect amount of time. Another way to actually make sure that your eggs are cooking evenly, just gonna grab a fork here or something. You're gonna make holes in the white, just a little bit. Even if you think you're gonna scar the eggs, you're not really, because once you make a hole, then the raw whites that are on top will actually go down and mend it, just like skin would, except much faster, right? So you do that around, so you make sure that everything cooks nice and evenly, and that you're not left with like too much translucent white. Because I'm not a fan of raw whites. Some people are. When our eggs are almost done, what we're going to do, we're just going to take our bowl again here, and then we're just going to add the salad that we're going to be using. So I'm just using some iceberg lettuce here. The very famous but not really appreciated iceberg lettuce, which has been just chopped with a little bit of red cabbage and some carrots, some grated carrots, but not much. And I'm just going to make sure that every piece and every leaf here is perfectly coated, so that I don't have to add more vinaigrette on top, and then I don't have to season anymore, because everything, the flavor is just there. Like, I don't have to add anything. Once that's done, simply enough, I'm just going to take a white plate here that I'm using, and then we're just going to put your salad right in the middle. Again, you're cooking for yourself, so just present exactly what you want to, how or you want to present it. And then from here on, I'm going to use, a lot of people when they cook things, they use a hard, let's say, what do you call those things? A hard spatula. The best way, just like they do it in buffets and hotels, is to use a soft spatula so you don't really break the eggs. And then once you got it right, you'll see that it's really easy just to flip and perfectly just flip on top of that on your salad without breaking it. And from here, we're going to take our mushrooms and we're just going to spread them on top of the eggs. And then we're just going to add some black pepper for good measure. And you're done. This is definitely not the prettiest dish you'll ever make in your life. It actually looks absolutely horrible, but the thing about it it tastes so good, it's so comforting, and it's just real food basically. Everything here is from the earth. Everything here is simple, it's fresh, it's barely touched by my hands. It's basically just some olive oil, some salt, some pepper, and that's it, really, and some lemon juice, and you're good to go. And it's just such great comfort food, and you guys will really enjoy this. And just, there's nothing more beautiful than just running your fork down on the yolk and having it break all over your salad perfectly.